Cool. So what episode is this?
Big Bang
Episode
14.
14. And before we move into our rants and our tangents, we have received an email, James, from an
Yes.
unknown individual who could either be legitimate or a bank trying to track me down. Um, but the gist of the question is essentially they're an individual. This is verbatim. I'm paraphrasing them, but this is pretty much what they said. That they got a bit of money saved up. They've got a decent job, but they'd have to quit as they want to obviously travel remotely. And how essentially would they sustain themselves? But the question's more aligned to where they choose to settle. Is it not difficult to get like residency and stuff like that? So this is where I guess I'll try and answer it as quickly as possible. People have this kind of misconception of how easy it is to, or how difficult it is to move to another country, and that it's necessary to have residency. Now, for the first part, that's not always beneficial to you. Getting residency, getting citizenship, this idea that you're grounded in a certain place is the very reason why you should be escaping in the first place. It's that grounding that really restricts your outlook, your mindset, etc. And there's so many places you can go where you can just live there on a tourist visa and just hop over the border every now and again to renew your 30 days or 60 days, whatever you're going to get, depending on where you are in the world. And in addition to that, that usually isn't going to affect your right to own property. You can own a property in many, many countries, or a piece of land or whatever, though the latter is usually more difficult, without having residency. So the example I'll give, which I think the listeners probably heard before, is Kyrgyzstan. So Kyrgyzstan, throughout the scandemic, the COVID thingamajig, whatever you want to call it. We're not going to get banned now, I don't think, especially as some of the videos have been reinitiated by YouTube following the fucking propaganda sesh from 2020 to 2021. But so they had a green pass, and a green pass was essentially just anyone was allowed to stay in the country for the period of so-called infection when the world was going mad and totalitarians were fucking taking control. And I could have bought a property there and then without residency, without any kind of citizenship, just on a tourist visa. That's absolutely fine. With respect to land, which is very common, to protect, from big development projects that are going to undermine the local community, it's usually a 51-49% scenario whereby you have to have a business partner who is a resident and they have to own 51% of the business. That's not the riskiest thing realistically, but yeah, you're still giving control of your house or your business, or your land rather, or business, sorry, to an individual that you might not know too well. But with respect to a property, if you're not using it for commercial gain, you can fucking own it outright. It doesn't matter if they decide to not let you back in the country. Well, then you just have to sell the property. And for some people, that's a bit of a risk, isn't it? If you want to settle down, maybe have kids or whatever, that might not be your cup of tea. But realistically, countries that perhaps aren't super developed economically speaking are more than happy to have people with a bit of money coming to their country. I mean, it would be illogical otherwise. As long as you don't have some fucking criminal record of serial offences, then there's really no reason why most places in the kind of median ground world, I'm not talking about high-end developed countries like Switzerland or Norway, etc. Although, to be honest, if you're brown-skinned and you're claiming asylum, you can probably get into Sweden. The irony is, if you're British, you probably can't. But it's really a kind of farce, the notion that it's kind of difficult to get up, pack your bags, and move abroad. That's just kind of that restrictive fear mentality that's been implanted by the media and by the education system to kind of contain skill sets and economic advantage within certain arenas. So they don't want all the fucking brains essentially fucking off to the other side of the world when they realise that actually the opportunities there are better for them, especially if you've got the GBP or the USD or the euro or the Swiss franc or some other strong currency. Then realistically speaking, you shouldn't be living in your kind of home nation. It's completely illogical to do so. Of course, people have family and kids, etc. But why not branch out, take your family and kids elsewhere? It will open up their mind, give them probably a better chance of sustaining themselves long term, rather than just being a pack of sheep with the rest of them. Do you know what I mean? It's not about advantage anymore. If you're making 300k, 400k a year, and you're hanging around kind of rich kids at private schools in Switzerland, well, your mindset is just as fucking thwarted as someone that's making fucking 20K a year, because you're just being put in the same environment, people with the same outlook, same perspective, and you're not experiencing new things. So what was his other question? Oh, it's income on the road. Well, I don't know how much money this guy has saved up, but yeah, I mean, something you could do off the bat, though I would say you probably need to have traveled a little bit to understand what it is that the market's looking for. But if you set up things like hostels, it's almost a zero risk scenario. If you were to, I don't know, rent out a couple of cheap places in a country which is kind of booming in terms of tourist trade, you get a 12-month lease. It's actually better to rent than it is to buy. And I'll tell you why, because your business is an online profile. If you've got a booking.com profile or a Google Maps profile with, let's say, 400, 500 reviews, and it's like 4.5 out of 5, okay? It doesn't matter where the business is. You can change the address at any point. That's why it's completely illogical to own the property outright. You're just losing all of that capital, and it's a risky investment at the end of the day. It could fucking burn down. Like I say, depending on what country you're in, there could be things that happen with respect to your ownership over the property as a foreign national, all that kind of stuff. If you just take out a 12-month lease, put a couple of bunk beds in there, get some arty people to spray it down, take some nice snappy pictures, shove it on booking.com and Expedia, Google Maps. It's all about the marketing. You've got people that are willing to come there at the end of the day if the location is right, just like the TV show in the UK, which I'm sure the listeners from the UK, given how the email was formatted, it's all location. Location sells anything. And so I would say that's a really good scenario. Yeah, I mean, you could always put your money in ETFs, although with the way the financial market's going now, and obviously the kind of transition to a digital currency system and potentially a 1984 Orwellian scenario imminently unfolding before us, then I probably wouldn't invest in anything regardless of how it's marketed to you with respect to kind of like, financial investments, because it's all just bollocks at the end of the day. It's all just a fucking fad. It's all scenario. It's all a kind of a fantasy that can be deconstructed at any point by the status quo, as they frequently do when companies declare themselves bankrupt on the Nasdaq, and then fucking 2 weeks later it's the same fucking company with a different name. It's all just a scam. So yeah, I would, physical assets are good, land is good, but land is usually more difficult, as I said, to attain over kind of just domestic property rights. But then again, once you've got domestic property rights and you're comfortable living somewhere, you can work on getting your residency and maybe opening up something that's commercial, or maybe you'll find a partner in that country and marry them and whatever, and then you'll have the right to own the business between you. But again, everything's online now. I'm sure the listener realizes that it's all mobile. Everything's mobile. That's why tech's going up. That's why there's this digital currency transition. Everything is on the internet. Everything you buy, whether it's from Amazon or AliExpress or fucking, I don't know, Rakuten or whatever. There's just more and more opportunities to sustain yourself online. Again, especially if you're coming from a country such as GBP, USD, etc. And again, the regulations in said countries are usually more opportunistic for people willing to expand into kind of mobile arena, because that's what they want to promote at the end of the day. It's a bit like YouTube, right? If we started talking on YouTube about how great homosexuality is and how we want our kids to transgender and all this stuff, then the YouTube algorithm is going to promote us. So you've got to look at that as an example of how the world operates in general. Whatever narrative is being pushed by the status quo, then if you jump on board, although personally I wouldn't do this, but from a business perspective, I mean, morally it's very, very reprehensible in my mind to, at least be kind of politically normative and join yourself to the ideas that it's okay for kids to fucking chop their cocks off and stuff like that, which it absolutely isn't. But from a business perspective, if you realize that that's what they're pushing, that's what you should be investing in, or that's what you should be sponsoring in terms of like how to sustain your livelihood. So yeah, I think you just take a look online. There's just so many. Again, I don't know what job this person has. I don't know what kind of profession they're in, but realistically, anyone can do anything, and you can always fall back as an English teacher. If you wanted to, you could go to China. The Chinese government had a partnership with the British government, at least pre-2019. It was the only official partnership whereby students in their second year of an undergraduate course in the UK could go to China and they'd be on 45k GBP a year in a big city like Shanghai or Beijing, with accommodation included, etc., to teach English, because China's 1.15 billion people and there just aren't enough English teachers. So that's always something you can fall back on. But that's just, that's obviously, we could go into a whole video about this, and perhaps we might, but as it's Christmas, we need to tell some dirty tales and allow James to talk. So I guess
Yeah,
I
no,
answer the question, viewer.
it's been a season, traveller. You are, I think you had the bases covered on that. Yeah, quite an extensive answer. Obviously, in terms of making money, there are numerous ways you can make money online on the go. All kind of affiliate schemes, investments, match betting. Um, yeah, just be shrewd, and like John said, everything's online. There are a million ways to make money online, on the go, paying minimal tax.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Once you leave, you're not really liable for tax. That's a really good point, James, because obviously, tax is a form of enslavement. And why are you working to give the state money when they're spending that money on 9-year-old girls in basements and champagne parties? That's what politicians are doing with cash. Realistically, you're working to feed someone else's fucking, Friday night nightclub scenario. And the moment you leave, there's so many countries without any tax obligations, or as a foreign national, again, you're not obliged to pay tax. Another advantage of not having permanent residency or citizenship in many places. You can just be making money paying your business tax if you're running a business with a kind of partner that's a national. But if you're just making money through an online platform or online platforms in another country as a tourist, obviously you're not tax liable. These are things that I don't think of too often, but I guess for some people that might be important. I've never paid tax in my life myself, not even a penny. So why do people pay tax? It's fucking ridiculous. Tax is tribute. It's the exact same scenario that goes all the way back pre-Roman, pre-Greeks. It's just giving free money to the fucking status quo, and then obviously taking their jabs and worshipping them like the dogs many people are. Not that the listener does that, of course, because you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast. but anyway. So moving on, I guess. So what's the topic, James? What's the topic of today's number 14?
The topic today are the quote unquote coincidental names that tend to come up with certain news stories and with certain positions, it would seem, especially in the position of those that wear helmets. Yeah. So, without further ado, if you'd like to, tell us about the names you came across in one day's worth of headlines.
One day's worth of headlines. Yeah. Okay. So very briefly, there's 4 cases that have been at the forefront of the news in the UK at the moment. Now, if you decode the names, which isn't a particularly kind of intellectual task because it's right in your face, you realise that everything is a scam and everything is a lie. So we've got the transgender individual that was apparently murdered. Her name is Brianna Gay. That's spelled Ghey, but Brianna Gay. At the exact same time, a lady has been found murdered, and her name is, of course, what's her name? Gaynor Lord again. So that's 2 gays. Then we've got a child that was missing, I think 6 years ago, and he's been found in France. Again, 6, a magic number, of course.
Exactly.
His name is Alex Batty. And for our foreign listeners, Batty in English is kind of a derogatory term you use to describe. Arse. It's kind of gay. It's synonymous with being gay. So you've got Alex Batty, you've got Gaynor Lord, you've got Brianna Gay, and then there's a refugee apparently that was found drowned in the water. And guess what his name is? And he's from an Arab country. His name is Bibi. Now, Bibi in Arab countries is what you say. It's a term which is like chica. It's lady. It's woman, right? And it's also a term that you apply as a derogatory term to gay kind of guys. You could also decode it in another way, because Bibi, the way it's spelt, it looks like bye-bye, and the guy obviously drowned, so it's bye-bye or BB. So you've got 4 people in the news at the exact same time. In fact, the 4 cases concerning murders, missing persons, etc. We've got Brianna Gay, we've got Gaynor Lord, we've got Alex Batty, and we've got BB. And if people think this is real, you have to smash your head against the wall, because everything is a scam and everything is theatre. It's all a joke. Whether these people exist is up for debate, because there's a scenario or there's a possibility that they just find these headlines that are aligned to their kind of their numerology and their fucking comical fantasies, and then they sponsor those particular news pieces. Or it could just be that these people are actors. Although I would say it's a combination of both, because if you take wars like
both. Yeah.
It's a mixture of both, yeah. Because if you take wars, we know in war people die, but war itself is a scam. It's a theatre. There's no opposition. It's two wings of the same bird. Everything is governed by the same centralised authority,
Yeah.
and people play essentially a game of Risk or Monopoly or whatever the fucking case concerns. So there we go. There's the overview, James.
Also, we've not gone into the names of commissioners. So we've got like
Oh yeah. So this for those again that haven't heard, I think we might have mentioned it before in one of the podcasts, but the former chief of police for the United Kingdom was a woman, which is statistically less likely. She was also a lesbian, so that's even less likely. But this is where it gets unbelievable. Her surname is Dick, which is penis. So the former British police commissioner was a woman who is a lesbian, and her last name was Dick. I mean, if people believe this, you have to actually, again, smash your head against the wall numerous times. It's all a joke. Everything's a lie. These people are put in positions to mock the general public. What are the chances? What's the probability that you will find a female lesbian with a surname which means penis being the chief of police for the United Kingdom? That's actually a real story. Look it up. Crescenda Dick is her name. She retired in 2022. Cressida Dick. Which I'm sure Cressida, there's something that aligns to the surname that means.
Well, it's actually Cressida, so it's Cresseda,
Cressida Dick. Okay.
And I'm sure once again that probably has some kind of connotation that we've missed.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I guess that's the first part of the kind of podcast, just exploring how just really everything is just a fantasy. It's just essentially theatre. And again, whether or not go for it.
Prior to Cressida Dick, we also had Sir Paul Condon.
No.
Sounds like condom. And even if you actually break down the word as intersections, you've got con and then a don. So, a condon and then yes.
Wait, he was the police commissioner prior to.
He was the police commissioner in the 90s.
So let's just emphasise that for the viewers again. So we've just looked at what's her name, Cressida Dick, and a police commissioner in the UK in the 90s. His name was Sir Paul Condon. People believe this.
The Condon. It's just like, I mean, you know what? In fact, shall we do what we did the other day with the centenarians and just get up a list of police commissioners? Because this could go back to the 60s for all we know.
That's true. Yeah.
List of metropolitan police commissioners.
No, I don't think it would be. Is it?
No, they were both met. They both met.
Oh, they both met. Yeah. I mean, all police commissioners would be, no doubt, aligned to this kind of like code. But we might be disappointed as well. But while you're doing that and while we're chatting about that, we've got to come up with the Christmas topic as well. We can't. God. Oh no! Give me some. Oh my God! Right. I'm excited now. No. What is it?
Right. Let's. So, I just realised that you have this woman as well that's been causing lots of issues. Suella Braverman. I mean, her surname is Braverman, and that's another one. Right. Let's list of commissioners. All right, we'll start from. So Cressida Dick served between 2017 and 2020.
Look at her. Look at her birthday. She's 63 now, and she was born in 1960. I'm pretty sure. Can you check that for me? Unless I'm going mad. There's so many sixes running around in my brain.
She is indeed 63 and was born in 1960. And I reckon if we look into a family tree, let's see.
No, they covered that up quite well now, though, to be fair. I mean, if you look at, so for example, Boris Johnson's great-great-grandfather, not only is he directly aligned to the royal family, but his great-great-grandfather was a Turk of Jewish origin. because again, we know that the kind of process of migration with respect to the tribes of Israel and how they ended up going through Turkey, where Joseph Frank was created, the kind of cult leader who is the kind of founder of just debauchery, if you like, or the promotion of occultist debauchery. And then this one of said tribes ended up migrating north into Russia to become the Tatars, and then essentially west into Germany to form Ashkenazism, essentially. But returning to the point, Theresa May is what I was going to go into. I did a background check on Theresa May. It's really fucking fascinating because these people they're all of the same lineages. They're all of the same bloodlines. You get to a point where her family have really basic names to the point where it's almost a joke. It's just like David Smith, John Smith. And then all of a sudden there's like Zachariah Chakaya or something like that out of absolutely nowhere in her lineage. And then it just stops and you can't access her family after that point anywhere. It dies. And this is, former prime minister. So you'd expect someone would have done a background check. But as we noted in our last episode, you can check prime ministers, presidents, influential characters, and their Wikipedia profiles are dead. And the prime example being the oldest living centenarian on the planet, the known planet, is the former lady to the Costa Rican president who is of Croatian heritage. And she's currently, 113, 114 years old. And if you go into their kind of family history, it's relatively limited. And yeah, anyway, so tangents don't kick in. Keep proceeding, James.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The thing is that we did say that we we're going to continue down the line of investigation, and all roads always lead to IRAE. I sneezed. I won't say the last bit, which begins with letter. Yes. But yeah, this list of police commissioners is somewhat underwhelming. Obviously, every single one of them, without doubt, is a Freemason, no doubt.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
It's currently Sir Mark Rowley, Alistair Crowley. There's a Crowley in that.
There is a Crowley in that, yeah.
It was Sir Stephen House.
House. Have you ever met someone with House as their surname? It's not common. I've never met House. It's also code keeping house, that kind of scenario. There's so many puns and stuff you can make from it.
He literally was just acting up. So, yep, that's quite
acting house.
Before that, it was Mrs. Dick. Prior to that, it was Bernard Hogan Rowe.
Hogan
Rowe.
Or Hog Rowe. Hog, which is obviously synonymous with. Yeah, but hog is also a term to describe dick, isn't it? Hog.
Not really. I didn't know.
Yeah, hog is pork. Yeah, because hog is pork. You say, the hog. I'm sure. Urban Dictionary. Either way, keep going down the list.
Yeah, pig. Yeah, pig.
Yeah.
Sir Paul Stevenson.
That doesn't sound sick.
That was just acting. All right, he was acting. Then we had Ian Blair. I suppose you got Tony Blair, Ian Blair. Yeah. So I think that was between 2005 and 2008. When did Tony Blair give up his seat?
He was elected in 97. Well, elected, it's all a scam. But 97, he became the
2 terms, right?
I think he did 2 terms. Yeah, so it would have gone into probably 2007, 2008. Yeah, so his brother was the
4-year terms, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's the same scenario with the Indian chap who's essentially just a beta. His wife's a billionaire, doesn't pay tax, of course, even though he's the fucking prime minister. And his brother isn't his brother the police commissioner or a police commissioner or a common some commissioner, not London Met? Because are you on London Met now, or are you just in general going through the national?
This is the Met police commissioner. Yeah.
So what's his name? I forget his name because I don't really care to know his name. No, not Sadiq Khan, the Prime Minister.
Oh, Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak's brother's like a high-end police officer as well, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, look his brother up. Rishi Sunak's police brother.
Let's have a look.
I'm sure one of Blair's brothers, it might be the same one that was commissioner, was also an offshore accountant too. It's all very convenient, isn't it?
Uh, no, sir. Right. Sunak is the eldest of three siblings.
Sunak definitely has a brother in the police force. I'm
His brother
100%
is a
on that.
psychologist, and his
One of them is,
sister works in New York as chief of strategy and planning at the United Nations Global Fund for
oh, there we go.
education in
No, one of them
emergencies.
definitely does. Could be brother-in-law, could be another relative, but definitely 100%.
Mm,
100%. Just type in Ricky Sunak, police relative. I'm sure of it. Otherwise, we're living in a matrix. If it's not the case, could be an on-call. There's always an on-call.
the Mandela effect.
It should come up
Rishi,
straight away.
no, there's nothing there.
I'm
Rishi Sunak,
100%. 100%. What about news? Google News.
mm, yeah, he's got. It says all right. So it's definitely not one of his direct siblings because we know what they do. Rishi Sunak relative. Yeah, in the police. No, nothing. Nothing.
Oh, there's right. I'm gonna have to look that up in it. Well, later. But I'm 100% on that. I'm literally 100%. I don't think it could be anyone else I'm thinking of. There are quite a few Indians and Pakistanis in the British government, but it could be the leader of the Conservative Party. Not the leader,
Leader
but
of cons-
the Asian dude that was running for leadership. Drop kicked out. No, I mean, it's definitely Ricky Sunak. Either way, so we don't bore the viewers. What's next on the agenda? What's the next topic of inquiry? Inquiry being the prime
um,
word.
inquiry. Well, it is Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
it is. Is it? I'm not sure. It's sunny here and I'm in a hammock, but
it's you know, the time of year that's based on fictional events, completely
indeed.
every aspect from Santa Claus to been in a manger in a stable, all fictional events. Yeah, and a time of year when everybody spends lots of money. There are positive sides to it, of course. Parties, time off work, just generally, people are in better spirits. Other than the people that are drinking spirits, better in their wives, because it's that time of year when the when the lubrication flows as well. Um, yeah, it's funny that that we have Santa and Santa Claus and like clauses like part of a contract. Clause or
I
something
was literally just going
thing.
to go into that. It's exactly what it means. Yeah.
Yeah, the clause are things that it's like when a woman's got her clause in. It's like someone's got a fucking
Double
hold of
meaning.
you.
Yeah.
Um, And then on top of that, you have the anagram of Santa, which is Satan. Um, and, there's also ants within that, I suppose people follow him. But yeah, Stain, there's lots of
Oh,
things that
it's
you can
endless completely. I mean, it was created. It was a genius creation, really, a promotion of something that perhaps existed possibly as a kind of a micro cultural, ritual. But just the idea that it is, as you said, a clause. It's a contract, and the contract is if you believe in the lie, if you sponsor the lie as a child, this is what they're teaching kids. You know, you get rewarded,
Yep,
right? You conform to the system, and a little Satan will come
yep,
down your chimney,
yep.
try not to touch your sister on the way, and he might give you a new Xbox. And if you don't conform to the lie, then you get punished because that's that's the contract, and they have, like you said, their claws into your children because it's all about the kids. Everything is about you when you're younger. That's how you manipulate society. That's how if you indoctrinate the youth, then you set the agenda for the coming age. You know, every next generation is essentially the future. And that's why schooling is so important for the status quo to kind of manipulate and control. Everything has to be set. The syllabus is set by the state, which is in turn set by those that govern the state. And as we've seen recently, more than any other time perhaps in known history. You know, what is being taught to children is absolutely obscene. You know, pornographic material is being allowed to kind of take heed within schools in the United States. You know, the idea that it's acceptable for children to decide that tomorrow they want to be a man or a dog or a cat or I don't know, whatever. And if you say anything against it, you get punished because it's a totalitarian system we live in and have lived in for a long time. It's just becoming far more potent as time progresses towards the coming age and the next reset. But this whole Sansa scenario really is at the crux and the core of the mechanism of control. You know, it's a psychological op in essence, and it's a form of ensuring that people do, for the most part, as I said, retain a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? Submissiveness to any governing body, irrespective of whether that governing body is real or not.
Exactly. Uphold the delusion, get rewarded. It's
Indeed. Well, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? I mean, you know, what we saw with the COVID scamdemic, just one example that just came off the top of my head.
get the
I think it was
jab,
probably
you can
around
go
this
on
time as well.
holiday.
No, it was even worse than that. They were advertising, get the jab and we'll give you a free fucking 7-Eleven fucking Fanta or Diet Coke or something. Yeah, what was it? I can't remember the name of that burger chain, but yeah, there was one in New York where,
Wendy, probably Wendy.
and it was yeah, I think it was all iBurger or something like that. And there was one of the shilly mayors of New York, I forget his name. He's there on TV eating a burger and saying, if you get your jab, this is what you get. And they're just giggling and laughing at how stupid people are. You know, they conceive a child, they carry it for 9 months, the lady, and then they spike it with 25 different fucking needles with all kinds of poisons that they can't even comprehend. You know, even a pharmacologist can't, comprehend them. Even many epidemiologists don't even understand the contents of said, so-called vaccinations, which they're not. You know, the notion that human beings have been around since the dawn of time, and all of a sudden you need to be fucking jabbing your livelihood with all kinds of things to now survive in the current era is just ridiculous. It's just, and people
because they really want to keep everyone alive, don't they? That's really
exactly. Well, exactly. That's the thing. You know, people just can't put two and two together. You know, you go into a supermarket and people are fucking chugging 2-litre bottles of Coke, which they're selling to kids, and there's pollutants in the atmosphere, and you think they actually care about whether you live or die. You're absolutely right. You know, anything that is spoken with respect to retaining human life is a lie, and we discussed that in the last episode actually, and it came up briefly in the beginning of this one. Centenarians, if you look at some of the characters who have lived to 110, 115, almost 120 years old, many of these people were from, if not all of these people, from the higher echelons of society. Yep. We went from 1 to 20 on the list, and I think it was number 20 that first issued a photograph of the individual in question on their main internet profiles. So 1 to 20, there are no pictures on their Wikipedia profiles. For the oldest, it was number 8, was it? Okay, number 8. Yeah. And but no, it was up to number 20, I think, because I did more research after that, where there was someone that didn't have a numerological connection or a kind of connection to the status quo. That was
to the status quo. That was
which is completely insane. And these people were chain smoking in their 20s. They're in speakeasies doing whiskey sodas every night. The level of stress that many of them probably encountered being kind of in this higher echelons of society, running multinational businesses, and they're living to 115 years old. Are we completely insane? It's absolutely ridiculous, the level of tech that they have. If you look at one of the old Rockefellers, I think he died in like 2007 or something, although you might have to Google this. He had several heart transplants before he actually ended up fucking kicking the boot, assuming he actually did, and we believe half of these things. Because just like with the school shooting, which I think I brought up in a conversation with you, James, there was a school shooting in Prague recently. I think it was 3 days ago. And this school shooting was decoded by a guy on YouTube weeks and weeks beforehand, because he uses a numerologically important code, which is the 322 connection. And the 322 connection is everywhere, to the point where the Skull and Bones Club in the US, they're quite the elitist fraternity, if you can call it that, which every major player in politics has been a part of. That's 322, the 322 Skull and Bones. And the Skull and Bones derives from the Corsican pirates. And Corsica still has the pirate flags, their symbol today. And the Corsican pirates derived from the original Knights Templars, who were the Freemasons, who were chucked out of France. And they fled to Corsica. And then from Corsica, they went across the Atlantic into the United States, where the United States was actually originally settled from, or at least much of the infrastructure that you see today, the kind of old world presence there. It certainly didn't come from fucking Christopher Columbus 17th century expeditions. It's all ludicrous. I mean, we have this conversation, I think, quite often, where we are made to believe that colonialism was responsible for constructing all of these ancient buildings that you see throughout, I don't know, the Americas, Asia, etc., given that the populations in said countries like Spain at the time were probably 7, 8, 9 million. And then you have to account for the level of skill set required, the engineers, the doctors, the death count, if we're to believe, their narratives of people that would suffer from all kinds of tropical diseases and get cold on the ships, get bashed away in storms, and then all of a sudden they're building all of this stuff through apparently, untrekked land where there were thick jungles and swamps, and yet with no motor vehicles or aeroplanes, they were building things from Rio up to Lima, up to Quito, into Mexico and north, and all across the world. And these are tiny populations as well, most of whom were apparently undereducated, illiterate individuals. If people believe this narrative, you have to be fucking stupid. It just doesn't even work from a mathematical perspective. You cannot calculate. It just doesn't make sense. And again, we're into the rant again, so you need to bring us back down to earth, James.
No, but the thing is everything that's said needs to be heard.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, please do rant away, and it's Christmas. Christmas is time to
That's
get off.
True. Christmas Grinch. I sound like the Christmas Grinch.
Yeah.
Have you got any Christmas tales? Any comical Christmas tales? Any Christmas parties from past years?
Christmas, comical Christmas. No, not really. Christmas is generally like a shit time of year to like go out. I find it's like usually pretty quiet. You might get one or two, like hardcore drinkers out in like a divey place. Obviously, me being one of the hardcore drinkers. Yeah. Any crazy Christmas stories? No, none. It's an underwhelming time of year. It's usually a time of year where, yeah, thankfully, very little happens. At home with the family usually. Yeah, just eating more food than needs to be at usually. And that's it. Do you have any? Because you've been away on quite a few Christmases, so you surely
Hello,
must.
hello,
Hello.
hello. I'm back. Do you know what it did
Yes.
again? This happens all too often, which again just shows the kind of Chinese engineers in the phone factory aren't really designing things correctly. So why would you put the fucking Wi-Fi button right next to where my ear has to be to listen to the headset? Just does my ear keeps clicking the Wi-Fi off. But yeah, I can just edit that bit out. So what were you talking about beforehand?
Yeah, no Christmas stories. No Christmas stories of no.
No
Nothing
Christmas
fun.
stories.
Nothing. I can't, like, honestly.
I've
Specifically
got a
on
story.
Christmas is generally uneventful. You've traveled a lot on Christmas. You're more likely to have a Christmas story far away.
Yeah, I mean, I do have one that springs to mind. I mean, I think I've got a few, but one that came to mind earlier is I was in Tunisia, in Tunis, on New Year's Eve, and this was in I want to say 2013, and I heard that there was one of the. This isn't going into a seedy scenario, at least as far as I'm concerned, but I heard that one of the oldest brothels in the world existed in Tunis, and it was obscene because it was out in the open and it was in a public sector. This is a Muslim country, by the way, and it's basically this open area within a souk within Tunis, where for apparently thousands of years, people from Bedouins and whomever, probably fucking Romans, those from Carthage, etc., would frequent. And there's a sign over the top, a bit like the sign in Auschwitz, which is "Work sets you free." It's something like that, but it's pertaining to the kind of debauchery that exists within the parameters of said area. and it was a tourist attraction because apparently it was just filled with just open obscenities. So I naturally wandered in on Christmas Eve, and I was astounded because this brothel area was filled with parents and their children, and it wasn't a pedophile thing. Well, it is a pedophile thing, but for a different reason. So a lot of men of what is considered age, which is 12, 13 years old, would be brought by their fathers. So boys would be brought by their fathers to this brothel to lose their virginity in Tunis. So it's kind of like a ritual thing that had been happening for a long time. Many of them would come from as far off as Mali, Algeria, etc., Libya, the desert areas around Central Africa, Sub-Saharan, Chad, Nigeria, etc. They would go to Tunis with their son, reaching manhood, and he would lose his virginity in this brothel. So you'd be wandering around this weird brothel, and it was really like something depicted in a kind of, what's that Heath Ledger movie, A Knight's Tale, where the kind of the feudal years supposedly of people traipsing through valleys and getting attacked by marauders, and having jousts with other knights from wherever. But it was like that. You had all these kind of, it's sad to say, but people with open disabilities. You have people that were midgets or people with like Siamese twins. Though I didn't see a Siamese twin, I'm assured there were some there at some point. But people with like limb disfigurements, like maybe like webbed feet, hunchbacks, all this kind of stuff, and they were all hanging around in the street because, again, a part of the novelty of this open air ancient brothel thing was that you'd have the option to essentially, I have to say it, bang a freak. That was the purpose of why it was so world famous. So I was wandering through this, and it was really just like some jester scenario you'd see at the kind of foot of the king's throne in medieval Europe in like 1530. Just some fucking random shit happening all around you. So that's one of the New Year's tales or Christmassy tales that springs to mind from 2013. Just wandering into the fucking the kind of sadism of Tudors. So yeah, I then went to get a dessert after that at an expensive restaurant, and they wouldn't serve me and told me to leave because I had to order a fucking main as well as a dessert at like 11 p.m. And I remember getting really angry and saying I was going to kill them, and that's the rest of the event. And then I went back to Hotel de France, the classic named hotel in any former French colony, and then I had a fight with a mosquito for about fucking 2 hours. This big fat bastard that eventually splattered all over the wall. So there we go, viewers. That's a lovely Christmas tale for you. And now on to James.
Yeah, Christmas tale maybe to come after Christmas because something may happen tonight.
What's the battle plan tonight then?
Well, yeah, let's see.
In Londinium.
Meet a friend, go for some drinks, and that can turn into anything. So, yeah, let's stay peeled for that one. Maybe.
Right.
Or I might be on a bit before and get home at a reasonable time.
Speaking of peeled, did you buy a Terry's chocolate orange?
Funny enough, I bought one about a week and a half ago, and yeah, it didn't survive. I've been good with the advent calendar though. The advent calendar, I've actually been like just having like one every day, and yeah,
we're supposed to only have one every day. It's the
whole
fucking point of
yeah, but I'll just open it and just treat it like a
just like a candy bar. Yeah, you see what you're saying.
Yeah, take 4 out, yeah. But yeah, I've just been doing one a day, or sometimes I'll do it for a few days, then having 3. But yeah, we've got one more day, one more vegan chocolate to go.
So are you trying to transition to veganism, or is it just because chocolate's
it was
generally
a gift.
unhealthy?
Yeah, it was just a gift, and I try and stay away from dairy, and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it was thoughtful on their behalf, even though I don't absolutely not eat dairy, but yeah, it's something that for the most part I will stay away from. But once again, so this company is called Nomo. Some of you in the UK might have heard of this company, and they are the #1 vegan chocolate brand in the UK. And lo and behold, their ingredient, all the numbers are there: the 3s, the 18s, the 666s, the 3.3s, and yeah, these things will show themselves forever, even an advent calendar. You know, these things are encoded into the fabric of our existence. The numbers are always there.
Yeah, and on that, I sent James earlier a little picture because I was looking through hotels last night, and the first one that came up that was recommended was a fancy swanky hotel at £333 a night with 18% off, 18 being 666, 333. What hotel would price their room at £333 unless it didn't mean something? It was also an adults only place, so it's no doubt some fucking pervy, satanic fucking hotel where all kinds of shit's kicking off on New Year's. But as James said, you know, it's everywhere. Everywhere you look, to be a successful company, you have to adhere to the standards of the fraternal organizations. And part of those standards are implanting their numerology somewhere within your company, you know, your portfolio, your format, your marketing, your campaign, your brand, whatever. And yeah, we know that, but we don't want to repeat ourselves. So viewers, Christmas, if you can think of any Christmassy tales, for perhaps a Boxing Day special or something like that, it would be quite comical. We probably should have done more research as to the kind of, because you know Mr. Ballon and people like that. You know Mr. Ballon, don't you? The
Yeah,
guy that does the
YouTube
documentaries on like
stories.
murders and
Yeah.
like serial offenders of various kinds. I'm sure he's going to have a Christmas special, and usually you can pluck out things that are naturally related to the topic at hand. You know, what things we discuss and whatnot. And actually, you know, the guy that I was telling you, James, that decoded the Prague mass shooting. So he has put himself out there and said there's going to be another one today, which is quite interesting.
Mm.
With the code, he doesn't just randomly say, "Oh, this is going to happen," because obviously that wouldn't require a skill set. Because then he could just say, "Oh yeah, I claim that," or "Oh, I just I made a mistake." But he actually does decode everything. He shows you the connections of the numerology and whatnot. But yeah, so what's your game plan in terms of food then for New Year's? Because I know you're quite a health conscious person. What are you going to be eating? Are you going to go all out and goose it, or I'm sure you're not going to be having any pork.
No, definitely no pork, no pigs, no cows. Yeah, so probably just like maybe fish, maybe if there's some nice poultry around, see what my sister cooks up.
Oh, you're
Uh,
going around your sisters.
this is for Christmas Day. Yeah,
Ah,
Christmas
okay.
Day. And to the sisters. The whole of the family will be converging there, and yeah, we'll see what's we'll see what's there. I have like quite a lot of nieces and nephews.
Oh
Christmas.
no, that's money you've got to spend.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I spent a lot of money. I've got like a sack of presents. I will be arriving as
You'll be
Satan Claus.
you'll be the original Santa because he was called Black Giuseppe, wasn't he, beforehand?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That original Santa.
Indeed,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is usually the case. um, but yeah, so yeah, I've got them all kinds of clothes. Like my rapping is like the rapping of like a 7-year-old, but my rapping's got worse as I've got older. It like I know it looks terrible. I'm looking up thinking, fucking hell, this looks shit. If someone gave me this, I'd be like, what the but yeah, the contents are what counts, I
The best
suppose.
thing to avoid wrapping is you just get the gift bags and just tape the top.
Yeah, the thing is that I wasn't organised enough, and I had some wrapping paper, and I just thought, let me just use it. And when I started, I was like, oh fucking hell, what have I signed up for here? Um, but yeah, it was done. It was entertaining, and when I look at them, it makes me laugh. So yeah,
Do you
it's
think that your nieces and nephews, they can? Because I mean, do the presents get mixed up? I assume they can differentiate by
I've
now.
laid.
It's Uncle James's gifts, the ones that are shit, like they're wrapped like a fucking 4-year-old. We could do better than that.
Yeah.
And
Well, the thing is, normally I've actually like made effort this year because normally I would literally just like hand them like something in its cellophane wrapper, like that's for you, and they'd be like, thanks. But this year I've upgraded, actually given them a bit of a surprise element. There's a surprising amount involved. I kind of like went full circle. I started off rapping well. So I used to rap decently with name tags, and it was
Oh, that's
quite neat.
nice.
And then I
Yeah.
stopped. I just became, I don't know, something just made me opt out of doing that. I think, just like the whole commercialism and just to kind of almost subconsciously de-romanticize them from Christmas by me just kind of like, giving the nuts and bolts. Here's a gift from me, not from fucking Santa, not Rep, no elf on the shelf. Like, your uncle just went out and spent a little bit of money and bought you something because it's December, and that's what we do. And yes,
Speaking of elf, I'd like to know what that actually means. I'm sure it's really
I
easy
mean,
to find
pedophilia,
out, but
pedophilia. I
no,
mean,
no,
yeah,
no. I mean the etymology, because you've got the fuel company Elf, haven't you? It's quite a big oil
well,
company, and
elf
obviously, if there's an oil company called Elf and elves are the fucking Santa's little helpers, then there's probably some fucking occultist meaning for that word.
Elf is also 11 in German, spelled exactly as so.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So, maybe like 11, that's like the maximum age of children that we want to drink adrenochrome from.
But 11 sounds like Elven as well. It's similar, and actually, the little helpers do have elf's ears, don't they?
And don't you think it's funny that the number, so what is the plural of elf? Elves, right? It's like, it's
Elves,
not,
yeah.
it's ELVES. And what's the number after 11?
12. Oh,
So
yeah.
it starts with the 12, and then 12s, as a
Which is
plural,
33. 11 plus 12.
and it's
No, that's
23.
22.
Yeah. It,
That's
it still makes
Jesus.
sense. Two times three, it's still two threes. You got two threes, you've got
That's
two
true,
times
yeah.
three, which they still like to play with. But, and they like to play with fucking elves too, I think. But yeah, like Santa's got his little helpers, like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a bit
Yeah.
like child fucking slave labor, isn't it? I've got these little midgets that fucking, you know,
Well, the
yeah,
whole thing is pedo, isn't it? Like the whole thing is just like the notion, like, oh, there's an old man who leaves his wife when all the kids are out every Christmas, and when you're asleep, he's gonna squeeze down the chimney because he can't knock on the door because the police
yeah,
are fucking, yeah, they're on the prowl. He's got to sneak down people's chimneys, and he gives children gifts because he whips his knob out probably. It's just fucking like the whole thing is just pedo.
yeah,
Crusty old man in a beard.
yeah.
He's got beer belly. He don't keep himself in good shape, does he? He's got some fucking reindeers. He's lassoed a load of reindeers up. Like, what kind of fucking
Gets all the
psychopath?
strange kids to sit on his lap, and then he rewards them with
Oh,
fucking
mate,
presents
no, right,
afterwards.
where did that come from? Like, when you think about that, that was never in the original script. I'm sure
Yeah,
that was not in the original script. Like, who
I'm gonna
takes
sit
their
in a fucking shopping
children
centre,
and sit on a fucking
and the
pedophile's
person,
lap?
like,
Oh,
oh
it's
god,
ridiculous, isn't it? Who are these people though? These people are literally like at least 70% of society. They take their little kids to a man who just came out of prison for fucking child sexual abuse, who's wearing a fake beard, and the fucking kid, he just has a fucking kid on his balls. Like, just what? That's literally it. That's literally, he has a kid, and then he bounces the kid up and
Western.
down on his knee, gyrates the kid a little bit, and then says, "Oh, what would you like for Christmas then, little Marcus?" And Marcus's sister's looking on like, "Mommy, why is that old man got my brother on his lap?" It's fucking weird, man. What kind of parents exist on this planet? Fucking useless. Um,
I
and then
know.
Marcus goes home after fucking, I don't know, setting a new pedo record, which gets. He's probably got one of those whiteboard. I feel like it's a guy that lives with his mum in the basement, but he's probably got like a whiteboard, and he ticks the number of kids that he gets each day, and he like sets a fucking like record, like does it annually. Like, oh yeah, 2017 was a great year. I was getting like, I don't know, 40
24
kids a day on
kids.
my 24 kids a day on my knee. Oh god, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. What else is mad about Christmas now that we're getting into a rhythm? I'm trying to think of like all the other fucking ridiculous
I
shit.
suppose it also fosters, like, as I said, we talk about consumerism, right? But also it actually fosters like greed and like entitlement, because it makes children feel entitled. It's like, every single year, and then like kind of a competition with like their kid, with their peers over who's got the best presents. And there are there are many toxic traits to Christmas as well, no doubt, that are intentional, because the powers that be understand human behavior and psychology, and they know the effects of the things, of the causes that they put in, the effects of the things that they put in place. Um, so yeah, that's
And of course, it sets like competition between family, relatives, because little 5-year-old Johnny has got like 5 uncles. He's going to start judging who he likes the most on what he gets from them each year.
absolutely, absolutely. There'll be
Family
arguments,
rivalry.
like, have all of the siblings been given, like, equal presents? Like, one might have got a book and the other one got a pair of trainers, and they're wondering, okay, well, I only got a book, but the book could be more valuable. But maybe it's just not more valuable in a financial sense. Maybe it's just more of a practical gift. But
Yeah.
at that age, children don't always rationalize things like that. In fact, they rarely do, and even a lot of adults don't as well, because this is just like the materialistic, shallow realm that we live in. That's just the reality of it. Also, eating more food. This is like, people force themselves to eat more. People will eat shit they don't even normally eat because it's
Yeah,
Christmas.
gluttony. Yeah,
It's just
makes no sense.
it's bizarre. Like, the only part of Christmas that I genuinely enjoy, like, I actually enjoy giving gifts to the children without them sitting on my lap. Just yeah, it's like and once again, it's just a feeling of, that your children having sometimes it feels nice to share with these kids. They said it feels nice to share. Sometimes, when you're at the pub and you're able to buy your mate a pint, it's kind of, you're grateful for being able to be in a position to afford to give.
Mate, you sound like a Weatherspoons commercial. Mate,
Yeah,
you just all you want for Christmas is to be able to buy your mate a pint of beer. Come
yeah,
to Weatherspoons, $3.99, Christmas dinner pre-book, tenner. What more can you want? That's what you sound like. Just
we
ye there on the
in
ad
it.
with your pint.
Weatherspoons actually should fucking employ us as the part of their marketing team, because they don't have any television adverts whatsoever. Like, I've never seen a Weatherspoons advert in my
I
life.
think it's because they're on like a Ryanair budget. Like sometimes when I used to go into Weatherspoons, I used to think to myself, like, how do they make any money? Like the premises are usually quite well kitted out. They do nice revamps, and they usually take on really old buildings, which can't be particularly well insulated. All that kind of stuff. The utility bills must be insane. And then, a lot of them are grade listed, grade 1, 2, so there's all that to deal with too. And then, they're central locations for the most part, and you go in and you pay like nothing for a pint. I think their budget must be like fucked, man. They must
They
literally be in so
always
much
get a
debt.
really high turnover. I mean, obviously, Weatherspoons will always be full. There's always, up until closing time, there's generally always people in them. Um, so it would be interesting to see what their profit margin is.
They've got stock spoons. I was considering buying it, but it's not doing very well actually. And I
Okay,
don't think it's
that's
off of the back of the 2019 either. I don't think it was doing particularly well before that. Yeah, the stock at least. I think the stock speaks volumes to an extent. Um, and yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, utility bills are going up, less people are going out as a consequence of that. Fuel prices are going up, all these things, it's all interlinked. So I just don't see them being able to sustain themselves. And you're right about a lot of spoons are busy, but a lot of them are busy with just 65-year-old men that are slurping their pints very slowly to stay in there because they've got nothing else to do. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
they're not.
They can't be doing too well.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, their net profit margin in the past year has gone down, 31.61%. Their revenue is about $500 million, which I'm not surprised by because they do get a lot of people going through the doors, but the profits are.
Wait, their profits have gone down 30% in a year.
Their net profit margin has gone down 31.
That's insane, man.
That's the year,
that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking crazy.
And they've actually returned to profit for the first time since the pandemic.
Wait, so what was their decline in like 2019, 2020? If it's 30% now, year on year, so what was 2019 to 2020 or 2021 to 2022?
I mean, it was probably better. They probably made about 50 million profit because they've made 42.6 million profit this year. You know,
that's not a lot when you think about how many spoons there are. 40 million.
Yeah, it's not. It's
really,
not,
is it?
How many branches do they?
Fuck tons. I reckon they got like 3K. The magic number.
Let's have a look.
They closed a lot though, but I reckon about 3K for sure. Maybe less actually. Nah, maybe less. 3K. Fuck it, I'll go 3K.
Right, I'll go with.
It's gonna be less, isn't it?
800. I'll go with 800.
What is it? It's gonna be like 1,500, isn't it?
Oh, over 900.
Oh, okay, fair. But they did close quite a lot, I imagine. Damn.
900 and what? Okay, right. Oh, actually, so there are 811 in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, they got some in Ireland as well, which is ironic.
And then another 703 elsewhere. Oh, fucking hell.
Wait, elsewhere? What, it must be Scotland and Wales? Or
Yeah,
I know there's some in the...
No, UK. So Scotland and Wales are in the UK. So that must be Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, it has to be, yeah. Maybe they got a few in Gibraltar or something like that.
Yeah.
They should start opening them abroad, honestly, because the number of Brits that go, and actually the number of like expats from Eastern Europe that work in the UK and obviously would go to Wetherspoons a lot more often because of price and stuff. If they started opening up Spoons branches and say, I don't know, Warsaw, you know, Bucharest, Sofia, I think they do really well. I actually think they do really, really well.
Yeah.
I think they're missing it out there. It's a bit like big hostel chains as well, like St. Christopher's Inn, which essentially are just places where you just get drunk and then you can stay the night there on like a Friday, Saturday. It's just a kind of all-inclusive bar crawl scenario. But Spoons is such a big brand. If they started opening up hostels, I really think they're missing an opportunity there. And now they've started opening up the top ends for hotels and stuff. You can stay in a lot of them. Like many of them are becoming guest houses. So I think they're really slow to the race. I think they've missed a massive opportunity.
St. Christopher's is international already, isn't it?
Yeah, St. Christopher's Inn's everywhere. That's the thing. Like if Wetherspoons just copied that format, they do really, really well. And actually, speaking of Wetherspoons, I booked, one of those error things I told you about, one of those UK bookings where the prices were incorrect. One of them is Wetherspoons in Tewkesbury, I believe. And I've booked it out, like double room, breakfast, everything included, for like £6.50 a night. And I don't know if they're going to honour it. I've prepaid as well. So I don't know if they haven't cancelled it yet. They're one of the only ones that hasn't messaged me and been like, fuck, we made a price error. Huh? Say again?
Yeah, I think Wetherspoons, that's one of the places that you probably get away with it because.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not like a family business. It's like who's looking over there. Yeah, especially a transaction like that, like all the transactions they do. I can see that one slipping through the net. Thankfully.
Thankfully, yeah. Although I don't know if I'm going to end up in Tewkesbury, but yeah, we'll see.
We are 64 minutes in.
Right, we'll wrap up then. We'll wrap up, and I'll try and edit the slight technical glitch out, either by just fucking not, either by not editing it out or just like cutting the bit in the middle. But did you record your end?
I don't know. Like I heard. I mean, I was just like talking, and then
No. I mean, are you recording the Skype your end? Like, did you manually press record,
yeah,
or is it just me? Oh, okay.
no, it's just you.
No. Yeah, it's just me. We should both start recording though, because one day I might mess up, which is very likely, and we might
Or
lose it all.
you might,
But
yeah, it's a sniper attack. You might get lasered.
might get lasers, might get
Yeah.
attacked by a. I was going to say something very politically incorrect then, naturally, but I've refrained. But yeah, no. So Christmas-wise, let's not tell people Happy Christmas. Everyone says that. It's shit, isn't it? Or what else should we say?
Just like, yeah, enjoy the time off work that you're getting paid for.
Enjoy. Yeah, but you shouldn't be working in the first place, and you shouldn't be wherever you are. You should be out and about. Yeah, I guess leaving it how it started, find a solution, find some beach or mountain or whatever you're into. Hope you enjoy the many beverages that might be on offer over this apparently festive season. That's always good. And, there's nothing wrong with a bit of gluttony from time to time. If there was a big slab of pork or turkey on my plate, I probably would eat 5 times my body weight. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just you don't want to end up looking too American. That's the only thing I would say. And yeah, I guess that's it from us. Anything else to add, James?
No, that is it.
No, James is itching to get on the nightlife because I guess it's pushing time when you've got to get ready for your
it's
Mayfair
only
cocktails.
3:30. But what I want to do is I want to make a bit of money, do a bit of matched betting, do a few things to offset the outgoings that are to come.
I know what you're gonna do. You're just gonna bang fucking 20 quid on Mr. Q and lose it all.
Let's see.
You're
Let's
considering that,
see.
right? Big
Or,
base bonanza Christmas.
it might give me £170. Let's see.
It literally doesn't happen to anyone else. It's the fucking most insane wins you get on there. It must be glitched. It must be glitched. But let's not jinx it. And yeah, ta-ta, everyone. And yeah, enjoy the drinks. And I'll speak to you after, James. I mean, after Christmas.
Adios.
Adios. Adios. Adios. Au revoir. Bye.